I've had quite a few requests to see a bit closer what I'm doing when I'm working on this blanket. This is an incredibly awkward angle, so hopefully I can keep it in frame. But for the actual blanket portion, all I am doing is I'm single crocheting all the way across. And I'm slow when it comes to crocheting, so I'm only gonna torture you guys for a tiny bit with this. But as you can see, do you see how it's causing there to be 4 holes and a square in the center for each and every row? It's almost exactly how cross-stitch fabric is. So I'm taking advantage of that natural hole formation to add in all the color. Sorry if I am not going the fastest. Camera is kind of in the way of me working. Okay, that is far enough to show you guys. I always put a stitch marker in to keep it from unraveling, because I move this thing around like crazy while I'm working on it, and I don't need the last like 10 minutes of work falling out. Now, the next thing I do, excuse how dirty that looks, I've had this thing for years, all that is scuff marks, is I open up the file that I have with the crochet pattern on it. Right now we're going to be focusing on the last little bit I have to do for Ivysaur. So I'm going to set this guy up. I think that's the bit I'm missing. Yes. So we got Ivysaur right here, and you can see I've done a lot so far, but do you see all these blue patches right here? They need to be filled in. So I take big long lengths of yarn, basically shoulder to wrist, and sometimes double that. I put it in the bag, put the DMC color down here, and I put the symbol on the chart right there. So I don't have to go down and check the legend at the bottom. I can just go, oh, I'm working on the slashes. Let me go find the slashes in my basket. And I do it this way because I keep my yarn, a lot of the yarn for this project, up in my room. And I don't want to accidentally wake my partner when I randomly need a piece of yarn, because my ability to sleep at night is tentative at best. So I will randomly work on this in the middle of the night. But so I feed it onto the needle, and I leave at least this much, and I pinch this so that I know that when my hand meets the back of the fabric, that's when I need to stop. And I put my hand underneath. I move all the ends out of the way, and I'll show you the back in a little bit. Everybody makes fusses about the back. If I didn't enjoy sewing, I wouldn't be cross-stitching this. So weaving the ends in is not going to bother me. I've already woven in the ends for Metapod, and most of the ends for Caterpie, and Bulbasaur is so close to being done. In fact, I might actually be able to weave him in soon. So I pull it up like that, and what I do is I put my finger behind where I'm going so I can bend the fabric, so I don't have to pull it both directions. I just have to pull it through on the top. and I just work on the pattern. This row I need 3 across. So we're doing those 3. I can hold on to my needle with it being this awkward. And then I want to backtrack some without getting stuck in a corner over there, so I'm going to only do half of the stitch on the way back so I can travel that far without having long ends in on the back. I have my other finger directly underneath where the needle's coming through, and I'm guiding it up through the top. And I am not a cross stitcher. Like, I am primarily a crocheter, but I have commitment issues, which is funny coming from somebody who's working on a blanket that's going to take 2 years. But I have issues with perfectionism and getting things right. And so the fact that I can pull out the stitches on this at any time and fix the color, it's amazing. Like, I love it. And this thing is so much fun to work on. Like, I have to stop myself sometimes because I have to go and do house chores and stuff like that. So we are getting somewhere, but I'm going to take a pause. And I see down here, this stitch right here is one of them. So I already put my yarn through to go back up this way. I am going to yank it so I don't accidentally pierce it. Then I'm going to go like this to undo the fact that I went up in that hole. Do this stitch real quick. Then I can go right back to that hole, finish off that stitch. Now I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna do these guys. I'm like so close to finishing him. I did not realize that I need to start weaving in his ends. So as soon as I finish one of the Pokemon, that is when I weave in the ends. Because I look at it and I go, I'm satisfied with how it looks. I don't need to go back and revisit it or tear out any of the stitches. And that's when I make the stitches permanent. And I will go a pretty far way with a loose piece of thread in the back, just because I can tack it down with the ends, and I can also catch it with the stitches that I'm stitching in on the back of the piece, so I don't have to worry about it being loose and getting caught. We're going through, we're finishing off this color for his leaf. I do not have all the colors picked out yet for the blanket, which is why you'll see random holes everywhere. In fact, Charizard's eyes that you can see there, it's supposed to be a super dark green up at the top, like around where the white is, like almost black green, and I don't have one of those. I'm debating about going with a slightly lighter green or with it just a straight up black. Probably gonna go with the slightly lighter green just because I kind of want to stay true to the original cross stitch, but also this cross stitch, people have altered it because a lot of people are not happy with how the pink Pokemon ended up on it. There's a group on Facebook, Pokey Cross Stitchers or something like that, and they have a color splash version of this saved in the files there because so many people were unhappy with how coral and orange the pink Pokemon were. I think that has more to do with the different color variations with each generation. Like, there's a lot of color edits that come with each time the game updated. The next generation came. You see how I was accidentally pulling up that like bright green thread? Let me see if I can do that again. See how the bright green thread's coming up right there? That's the whole point behind me having my finger back here. It's the block me from accidentally snagging those and making my project a mess. Okay. I think I have finished all of that. In the pattern, 3 spots here are supposed to be blue, so this spot is supposed to be that red. And in the pattern next to his eyeball, this is supposed to be that Kelly green. This is supposed to be that Kelly green. And then all of these guys are the newest color I found. And those are the like goldy brown that we got recently. Oh, right there. Where are you supposed to be? So you got the black. So this is the B color. That color is scattered random places all throughout. And it is a pain in my backside. This is one of the ones I had to do from a mandala cake. And then this is one of the ones I had to do from a mandala cake. And I'm kind of terrified because I don't have nearly enough. And I deconstructed a lot of these a while ago when I was going to do Sophie's Universe in mandala cake colors and just go with the flow on those, and I didn't end up finishing that because I wasn't in it. It wasn't enough brain off activity. A lot of this is brain off activity. But yeah, so I already split that color from its cake, so I have no idea which mandala cake it's from. I need to figure it out. This guy is the arrow one that I found recently. This guy's B. This one is K. I'm actually really surprised that I didn't finish that guy. I'm gonna check and see if I have any tails of K close by. No, I do not. But that's K. And this one is U, and I do not have U yet. And this guy is actually that arrow color that I was talking about. So I should have just dragged it over here. I did not realize. Oh, wait, no. Should have just dragged it over here. Did not realize I had another one that close. So he's not as close as I thought he was. Thank God, because I got a lot of ends to weave in on him. But Metapod is the only one that I have 100% done. Every bit of him is filled in. You're still gonna see bits of blue in there because it's cross stitch. Like, sometimes the background shows through and some yarns are thicker than others. But he's fully done. Caterpie is literally missing one stitch. Caterpie is missing... Oh, where is your stitch? Right there. He's missing that singular stitch. But I'm going to be putting that in later, after I'm done mostly weaving him in. But this is what it looks like when they're all woven in. It is slightly stiff, but it makes a wonderful sound. I'm so glad I don't have cats because that would bring them running. But yeah, this is what it looks like when I weave them in. I do plan on weaving in all the ends on the blanket. I do not want to risk having a blanket that I have spent hundreds, and by the time I'm done with it, thousands or tens of thousands of hours on, unraveling just because I'm too lazy to put to weave in a few ends. Now, I say that. I just want to show you how many ends we're talking about. People are amazed when I tell them that I'm gonna weave them in, but you know what? I want to. I like sewing, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this cross stitch. Cross stitch is just fancy sewing. Yeah, Metapod is the only one that's fully done. Gonna try to give everybody a little bit of limelight. I got this nice stable setup. Still not happy with Bulbasaur's shadow color. I might go back in and adjust that one. Again, little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm so happy with how the flower looked or turned out. Like, I might actually weave in all the ends on the flower now, just because Bulbasaur is so close and I have all but one of his colors picked out. I still need to get the DMC floss colors for just a few of the colors, and Charizard is a good example, one that I might pick part of his belly. So there is two different colors here. There's this duller color and this brighter color. This is the color that I've been having trouble finding. And after I show you everybody else, I'll come back to him and I'm going to show you the color that it actually is supposed to be. And then maybe somebody will know which mandala cake it came from, and then I don't have to worry about running out. Because it could have been any of them. I basically took all the mandala cakes in my stash when I was trying to work on those Sophie Universe blankets, and I said, let me deconstruct all of these because I do not work in this weight yarn. Oh. This is Charizard's belly, and this is the color that it's supposed to be along the top portion. You see how he has like extreme highlights going on? Well, they carry that over into his belly. And I found this from a mandala cake. It's not perfect, but it is way better than anything else. And I'm torn about using it. I think there's going to be certain situations where I use it and certain ones I don't. But it obviously attached either a green or a gray. Let me go ahead, poke around at the center, because I can always rewind this. And we can figure out what color it attached to on the other side. I have a better idea of what pull of yarn it came from. The other end of the yarn is giving no clues as to where it came from. But look at how close of a match that is. But yeah, I'm actually going to leave it like this because I'm just going to be pulling from the one end. The mandala cakes are amazing for this. I wonder if this is a gray or a blue it was attached to. Or a green. I'll figure it out eventually. I don't care if it gets all tangly because it's all going to be cut up anyways. Let me show you my kind of chaotic system for them. It wasn't chaotic until I found a bunch more colors, and then it became chaotic over time. This right here is my bin of colors. Every color has the symbol and the DMC color written on it. And if I actually had the DMC floss is in the container with it. There's a few I don't have the ones for, but I have a lot. And I have not finished adding the newest ones into bags yet. Now the way I keep them all straight is I keep all the yarns separated from the rest of my yarn so that I know which ones, I'm going to use these on the Pidgeys. But that way I know which ones that's a middle piece. Two, three. Yeah, the end is over here somewhere. There it is. I'm just gonna work on Pidgeys until it's time to go to work. Oh, and since the mandala yarn is slightly thinner, I use it doubled up. That way I don't have to worry about things showing through, because some of the thinner yarn already I have issues with stuff showing through, and I don't need that to be worse. Ooh. It was attached to a brighter yellow. I wonder, there's a mandala cake that is yellows and grays, if I remember right, and it's probably that one. That color combination is not so popular anymore, so I probably should get a move on figuring out which one it is and at least ordering a few more, because I know I would not have bought a lot of that one myself unless I saw it on clearance. Okay. Above Charizard's shoulder is where I want to be working. He's so cute. Okay. We're going to use this as our reference, and we're going to work up. So I'm going to grab onto these. Going to go under. This one might be a little easier for you guys to see. I'm going to try to bring it close to the camera so you guys can see everything that's going on. So I'm gonna go in this hole and out this one. I don't do super long strands so it doesn't tangle while I'm working on it. Yes, it creates more ends. No, I do not care, because I would much rather weave in ends than deal with untangling yarn all day. When I'm doing the double stranded, I need to make sure that I'm tugging both legs of it at the end. If it shows any signs of being bunched up. Do you see how I accidentally snagged one strand of that yellow? I'm gonna back up off of it, come back in a little higher so that that doesn't happen. Okay, stitch goes there. We go all the way across until we are on top of the blonde. But part of the reason why I like doing the cross stitch over top of the crochet instead of doing all the color changes in the crochet is this is all on top of a solid piece of crochet, which means I don't have to worry about my ends making themselves loose and making holes in my project. Now, where I joined the colors for the background can cause those types of holes. But this thing has so many color changes. The pattern has 105 colors in it. If I was not good at weaving in my ends and I washed it and it just turned into like pieces of yarn everywhere, I would cry. Because even if I was crocheting this thing, like this this would be an extreme undertaking crochet wise. Cross stitch wise, it's not that bad. I may be saying that with the ignorance of somebody who doesn't do a lot of cross stitch patterns. But it's way easier to be able to jump rows and everything else than it is to try to work with bobbins with this many colors. I'm gonna do this row, and then I'm gonna weave in a few ends on Caterpie so you can see how I've been weaving in my ends. Then I'm gonna turn on my shows and get out from the camera that is very awkward to work underneath, so I can go a tiny bit faster. The other reason why, if you're using the mandala cakes to be able to get the colors that you need, that doubling it up is nice, is so that you can control the variation in colors that can happen and not have to deal with trying to like keep the ombre going and not look patchy. Okay, it does touch the black on this row. In this direction, it goes all the way back. Oh, I almost forgot to say, so the pattern that I'm using is Lord Libyan's crochet pattern, or not crochet, cross stitch pattern. He has one out for at least the first 8 generations. And then he has an epic one for the first 5 generations altogether. And that's kind of how I got started on this, because I could not find a piece of Acadia big enough to cross stitch in to do the 5 generations one. Okay, I need to not do that top corner on the right because that is where the A color goes. but I could not find a piece of Acacia big enough. So I was like, maybe I can do it with yarn instead. Like, I didn't really like cross stitch stuff because I don't see a point in putting it on my walls. Like, if I'm gonna make something, I want it to be functional. The closest to that I get is making plushies and that kind of stuff, but I would much rather something I can use and touch every day than something I can just look at, especially if I spend a lot of time working on it. I was like, well, maybe I can do something with yarn. Maybe I can turn it into a crochet project. And then I looked at the logistics of making it an actual crochet project. I was like, nah. I was looking at single crochet one day. I was like, this looks like Acacia fabric. Why don't I just cross stitch into this? And then I started looking into it, and it's not a new thing. Like, there used to be tons of patterns way back in the day where people would cross stitch on crochet fabric. And I started rummaging through my stash and everything else, and I found a decent amount of the colors that I needed, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. So I took a size G hook and I sat there and crocheted 300 stitches across, and I made the first like 10 rows before I started cross stitching on it. And I just kind of cross stitched and then crocheted and then cross stitched and then crocheted, back and forth, back and forth. It's actually starting to look like Pidgey. Okay, so got to the end of that. I could technically keep this going, but I don't want. I'll do one more stitch. I stopped right there, so I'm gonna go above the eyeball. Go like this. 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 And like this. Okay, that's a good length for stopping it. Then I chop it right in the middle there so I can get my needle free. And ta-da! Got that big old patch done on them. So we're gonna weave in this one. Rule of threes. You always want to go back and forth at least 3 times. And I'm only catching the colors in the back. I am not going into the blue fabric because I don't want it showing up on the other side. So the cross stitches are basically making a little envelope for me to stitch into. Now I do not know if this is going to last long term, or if this is even a good idea, because I am winging it. I want y'all to understand that before I get messages going, my project unraveled. And it's like, I'm sorry, I did not know what the best way to do it is. Believe it or not, this is my first crochet cross stitch fusion pattern. I have done cross stitch before a little bit. I never finished them, and I have done crochet for a very long time. So now that I've gone back and forth 3 times, I'm going to rub the area and basically make sure that all of those stitches relax. And then I just go boop, just like that. It's all woven in. And I'm going to repeat that for all of these stitches. And then I get to do a fun little TikTok going, "Who's that Pokemon? It's Caterpie!" Just like with Metapod. And I'm thinking I'm going to use my hook and pull up little bits of blue around here and pull up little bits of like the greens and everything else through here, but not cut the ends. And then just be careful with how I take the video, so I can still get that effect that I got with Metapod that was really cool, where I had all the yarn like moved away from him essentially when I took the video. That like all of the strands are pointing towards him. See? It looked really cool when I took the video. Yeah, anyways, that is how you do it. Let me pull up okay, so this is the giant one. We are not dealing with this one. But I plan on doing all 8 of these blankets. This is the one I'm working on right now. I am not doing different colored backgrounds. Screw that. I'm going to be doing different solid color backgrounds. I ain't messing with all that. Or all that. You know what color background this one's gonna get? It's either gonna get bright blue or bright purple. And I might even skip Gen 2 and go straight into this one because this is my generation. But fairly happy with it. And I'm using the extended version of all of them. And to be honest, I don't know what Gigamax is for the 8th gen because I played a lot of Pokemon growing up, and I got all the rest of the games as an adult, but I didn't play them as much just because I am very busy. But yeah, that's all the information you need to be able to make your own. Fair warning, if I did not shop my stash and I went out and I bought all of this brand new, the amount of money I would spend on yarn is over $500. This is not a project for somebody who is just wanting to play around with doing the cross stitch stuff. This is a commitment. It is going to take me at least 2 years to do. At least. I will be very surprised if it's shorter than that. Now, look at how cool it is though. But yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed me explaining how everything works, feel free to like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. I have one Facebook group that I regularly update on the progress with this thing, but most of the other ones I just kind of randomly go, "Hey guys, the picture came out really cool this time. Here you go." But yeah. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!